Mark Gassert, Elevate Your Profits. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Doing great today.
Good, good.
Standing up for a change, man. You know, it feels good to stand. Sit
Is that
too
right?
much.
You have one of those stand-up desks or?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It feels good though.
Good. Sitting all day, your legs get cramped up and stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. So.
Well, here in Wisconsin, it's cold. Today's high got 4 to 5 degrees. It was -4 this morning when I woke up. So it's,
my goodness,
we got a little bit of cold weather. And I know you quote, you're
started out cold. Yeah. Now we're up to 40. So that's
40. That's cold, huh? That's sandals and shorts and flip-flops here in Wisconsin.
Oh, I believe it. Probably outside washing your car and everything else, you know?
Yeah. Well, today we got a guest. I'm really excited to introduce our guest here in a moment. Al Tim, and I'll tell my story about how we know each other here in a moment. But I'll bring Al in, and we'll introduce Al. Welcome, Al. How you doing?
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm doing great. Kind of cold. Other than that, the sun was beautiful and no wind.
that helps here in Wisconsin when you don't have wind. You get the minus wind chill factors. You know, that's pretty intense. So welcome, Al. I'm glad to have you on. I was just thinking here earlier, how did we meet? Did we meet through Excellent Business, Chuck Harris's forum, or was it Nick Christensen, a Rely Local business?
Chuck Harrison and then Nick Christensen.
Yeah. So, we interviewed Chuck here on Elevate Your Profits before his passings, and he really brought the business community together. Made some pretty significant contacts, met some great people, learned quite a bit from Chuck and the principles about business and that type of thing. So that's how we met.
Yep.
And we hooked up here a couple of weeks ago at a Rely Local networking luncheon, and it was great seeing you. And I definitely want to get you on. And so we welcome Al.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'm going to let Mark say, what is our why here at Elevate Your Profits?
Well, real simply, what we're going to do tonight. Why is about learning from our guest, Tom. Why is, we're trying to make it a better place out there by sharing content, information. People have written books, people that have a purpose. What Al's going to talk to us about tonight, where he came from and what he's doing now. These are all important things. And I think it's great that, we try and be as transparent as possible. We have fun during the process. Sometimes we even screw up, but that's okay. And that's the beauty of this particular live stream podcast. We don't attest to be perfect, but you name the industry, as I've often said, from technology, medical, solopreneur, entrepreneur, people that have written books, people that actually are joined at the hip with Napoleon Hill. The last disciple thereof is Benjamin Franklin Gay, the third. Ben Gay, as we all know, or Uncle Ben. And it's kind of neat to have people like that on that share their story. And Al, really looking forward to having you with us this evening. And I just want to say welcome. And that's pretty much it for me, Tom.
Yeah, it's all about elevating your profits, everything from the mindset to the bank account. And everybody has a story. Everybody has something to contribute to make somebody's life better. So anybody that's out there today, turn on your notification tag and share. We never know what one thing may make a big difference in somebody's life. So that's why we started this program. It's expanded our personal networks and that type of thing. And we'll probably have some people jumping on here shortly, making some comments, and we'll post those up, Al. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where do you live? Where are you born? And then I know we have a story before we get into what you do as a business. So
Again, it's a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, and great day to be in Wisconsin, and enjoy the weather and get out there and do it. I've I'm a legal immigrant, and
Yes.
I came here with the blessings of a father who would not give up. My dad, the roots go all the way back to Romania, and he was a farmer. And as we all know, war is hell on all sides, and they came and got him at gunpoint to be a soldier during the Nazi time, and he had to leave the land, the family, the wife, and he was in Russia as a interpreter, a scout. And all those years, we never knew if he was alive or not. And when Hitler had to g- ravaging through Poland, and then had advance party come along, say, "Hey, anybody Germans, you got to leave Romania. We're coming through." And so my mom had to escape with my siblings, and at that time I wasn't born, and wound up from there in escaping and stories and all kinds of stuff there to Poland. And I was resettled with the German language, everything. I was born there in Poland. And when Hitler had to recede, again, we wound up having to be uh, evacuated from our relocation place, and where we were in Poland and into Germany. And in Germany, soldiers again came along, helped us along the journey as much as they could. And luck of the Irish have it or whatever, we wound up in Germany about an hour or so from Leipzig. But that was then, of course, Germany was divided, and we wound up being on the Russian side.
Oh,
So
wow.
again, we were behind the Iron Curtain, and um, we
What
found
period of time was that, Al? Was that the late 40s, early 50s, or
that was we when the war ended, and we wound up in East Germany. We were there in '47. We finally escaped. My mom found out Dad was alive. He actually survived the war, Russia, the killings and stories that he told us, etc. And from there, the Red Cross found us in East Germany, and he had his nose filled with the Russians. He sure wasn't going to come back under Russian control. So my mom had to escape with us kids. And I was 4.5 then. Was born in '43 during the war, and I was 4.5 when I met my dad the first time at the train station, which was our last stop before we finally were united as a family. And a guy standing there, his arms up at the train station to catch me. I was coming off the train. That was my dad.
Mm.
And so that was the beginning of life, rough life. I mean, we're all trying to survive, and people were attempting as much as possible to go back where many were prisoners over here in America. My dad was also a prisoner over here after he was captured. And then he also wound up in on his way when he was being released to England, and from England to around Stuttgart, there was a huge camp where people came to unite each other, tried to find news of the dead relatives or alive ones or whatever they could find. And so my dad was ready to start to come the journey and become an illegal immigrant and to a country of opportunity, not for himself, but for his kids, like any parent wants to improve life for the kids. So after finally trying 6 different times and stories and that, he wound up, we were sitting in Kassel, final exams, and they asked him, well, how do you want to go? We were turned back once already. on a ship to come over, and they told us on that attempt, sorry, the quota was filled for the year, so we
Oh,
had to
wow.
start all over again. Thousands of us sitting in Hamburg at the harbor, waiting literally for that ship to take us over. So we all had to go back, and like I said, my dad, he can-do attitude, never give up, and he kept trying till finally, in October, we made it. We sat there. They asked him, "Well, how do you want to go by air or by ship?" And he said, "No way, not by ship." And so we came over by plane,
Right.
landed in October 9th, 56 in New York, and not knowing anything about America, where we are or where we're going, until there was an old gentleman sat at the train station, big map on his lap showing people where they're headed and all that. And we wound up coming to a farmer. We had to have a sponsor
Right.
who was responsible for our housing, our meals, our job. And we all pitched in, helped my dad on the farm, did all kinds of work on the farm, slapping the pigs or feeding the calves or with the hay. And
Was that here in Wisconsin?
in Wisconsin, by Watertown, we landed
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
by train. And then from there, we wound up going to a little town of Lowell. And that's just off east of Beaver Dam a little bit in
Okay.
that Dutch County, in that area. And then he had a farm there, and we worked there for 2 years. And then that's where I first learned my first English on that little farm school. And 2 years after learning, they gave me my 8th grade diploma.
Hey, Al, just real quick. Eric
Yes.
Bam asked an interesting question. He
Yeah.
said, Al, crazy question, but would you have had your life any other way? And I know I have an idea what he's asking. You didn't have a choice. You got thrusted into this. So
Exactly.
some people, and I'm sure you know, when something, and this is a travesty. I mean, you're 4.5 years old. They would be bitter to the nth degree. And you know, we all know people like that where something catastrophic happened in their life, and they have reason to be that way. I was just going to ask you, what language did you speak? Was it Romanian, or were you Romanian Orthodox as well, or
We, myself, anytime my mom and dad didn't want us kids to understand, they would speak Romanian.
okay,
And the only word I know Polish is
okay,
Albushna.
okay, gotcha.
So German was my main language.
But how do you feel about your past, where you came from, and then you wound up in Wisconsin? I mean, were you happy? The fact that you were, I'm sure your dad was. Maybe you're not doing what you want to do yet, but you're out of that turmoil and out of that oppression. So, could you share that with us?
Well, if I'll share with you a moment of rejoicing. And when we landed in Watertown, or even going back to the airport in New York, the first meal that we had in America, somehow my dad at the train station, he found a place that had fried chicken, rotisserie chicken, whatever, and a loaf of white bread. That was the first American meal. And that bread to us was like sponge, because we're used to farmer bread in Germany,
Right.
homemade, whenever Ma had the funds to do it. But so when we landed and walked into that home on the farm, and for us kids, for all of us, there was the 3 kids, my mom, dad,
Right.
opened that door, and we saw a huge spread on a farmer's table of food I never saw, I never experienced, I never ate, because we were undernourished, understarved. There wasn't no nourishment, no food. And
Right.
it was a feast fit for a king. And I remember that spread today. That was my really grateful that my father had that can-do attitude, never give up. And I'm glad he did what he did to bring us over here instead of suffering like the other people left behind after 6 years and all that.
And what was it like to be on the other side of the fence well, I'll just say Russia. You're on the East Berlin side. What was that like? Was it a noticeable difference?
Oh, totally. We were under guard by the Russian soldiers
Right.
upstairs under the roof of a old farmhouse that they took us in. Older couple, and my mom worked the fields and that. And I remember that one time we just had one room for all of us. And I walked outside of the room and then the steps went down. And just when I was looking, there was a soldier with his gun over his shoulder and his Russian outfit, and he was checking the house out. And I, not knowing who that was, I said, Tata, Tata, meaning dad, dad.
Uh-huh.
And my sister heard me and came running. She saw who it was. She was 6 years older than me, and she grabbed me back in the room. So we were on the watch all the time. There was no food. The women, because there were no men around, the women went at night. They were working on the farm fields. They would get together and in the farm fields, they would steal the beets that they would harvest for the pigs and whatever they had. They would bring that home to boil so we had something to eat.
Wow.
That one time, a story real brief. My uncle was with us at that time, Philip uncle, and so he had my brother Herb, because I was the youngest, and he had my brother Herb standing under the roof like we were in that little house.
Sure.
And the window was there, and the window was open, and my brother Herb was trying to feel underneath the roof area for a nest or for a bird. And he actually caught a sparrow. And that was so much joy for us because we brought it in the room. It got loose, but they closed the window. My uncle, my brother, whomever, and long and short of it, Ma actually a sparrow. She fixed it up and we ate it for supper.
Wow. Oh wow.
Yeah. So my sister, my ma would send my brother. I was on a trip over there several years back with my sister when she's still alive, and she always said, "I'll take you back where we lived." And she pointed down the street. That's the house down there where Ma would send Herb, my brother, begging for a piece of bread so that we would have something for the kids to eat, for the kids. She went hungry more than once, I'm sure. Or she'd send them on to stand in the line after refugees like us in East Germany. They would stand in line for food. And they would come back with one piece of herring, all the meat falling off the bones already half rotten.
Ooh.
So food was at a premium, and so coming to America, food, it was just awesome. I mean,
well, you look like you're in good shape. You're not real big, so I'm impressed.
Well,
I've got Wisconsin, so I'm sure you had a couple beers and brats and all that other fun stuff.
Oh, all the good old German American food. I tell you, we enjoyed life. We could, in our younger days, we'd have a T-bone or something and the fixings, and we lived on a farm here. That was my dad's dream. He used to be a farmer, have a little farm, and instead of my going to a 4-year college, I didn't want to take his dream away from him.
Sure.
And so I went to a 2-year down here in Milwaukee, and he had his farm and he enjoyed it. He had chickens. He had a huge, massive garden. He would buy calves, raise the calves. He would sell pigeons. People from Milwaukee would come buy pigeons from him, and a delicacy to meat. And so my dad enjoyed himself.
Listen to this, Tom. That was a delicacy, pigeon.
Yeah, it's
I've heard of people eating squirrel too.
yeah, yeah. It was amazing. But after the war, before we came over here, the German government again they were trying to rebuild, and the youth, the children, is the future.
Sure.
And there were so many of us, just starving kids, and they would send us into a. I'm sorry, something happened.
Oh,
Are you there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're still here. We got you.
You're good. We can see you and everything
We
else.
see you fine. We hear you fine. So
Okay, and so
You
they
said
would send us
they
into
try
a
and get you to
camp,
work. Yeah, camp.
a youth camp, where children from across Germany, they would take them for about 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks sometimes, depending how bad a shape you were in, physical body wise. And so you would wind up being able to sleep in the bed, and that you would have meals to eat, and they would take care of the children. And because we were so undernourished, and I wound up because of my state of health and condition, I went to 2 camps. One I was on the North Sea by Hamburg, and the second one was in Bavaria, Allgäu, for another several weeks to rebuild the bodies, the youth, the strength. And so,
And what part of Germany was that? Since you got Russia, East Berlin, and then you're right across the border there. What part of Germany would that be?
it was called Niedersachsen, Lower Saxony.
Niedersachsen, is that how you say it?
Yeah, Nieder, Niedersachsen,
Okay.
lower part. That was Göttingen. Or Hanover might be familiar to you.
Yes.
In that area, and
I can only imagine you're on the other side. You guys were probably freaking out to get on the better side. But even when you were in West, Germany at that time, you probably were subject to your family, what, like you just mentioned, work camps. They're trying to rebuild, that the towns and all that, and you didn't have much of a say, did you?
no, my dad was working. The infrastructure was important, the highway system,
Sure.
and buildings, and that's how my dad was working. And he was always came home at night, and Ma had to have something ready for him, whatever. The farmers over there, when it came to harvest time, they let us refugees. And if you know the Bible, it talks about the gleaners in the Bible.
Yes.
Like when Ruth was going after the workers, the gleaners. Well, we as a families, we would go after the harvest, whether it was barley, oats, wheat, whatever they had. We would go after they harvested their fields. We would have small gunny sacks and that pick up
Oh, sure.
whatever's left over on the ground.
Right.
And that became then and we as kids, we were very, very busy doing that. It was part of our job to provide, because my dad then would take it. We had the mills in town, and whatever we would get, it would then make mixed flour of it for Ma to make whatever she could. Everything the meals for the bread was the biggest. Anytime we had a meal, always a piece of bread because it filled our stomach. And
Yeah.
but it was good times. The farmers were so good. They would harvest. They would give us the. I apologize. I messed up the picture.
Oh no, you're perfect.
Okay.
We
Maybe
got you fine. Don't mess with anything. We got you fine.
yeah, we got
All
you.
right.
You're perfect.
My hands are behind my back.
That's good. It's all good.
Al, that's amazing. Being young enough to recognize what was going on and experience that, get to the United States, get to Watertown, and see all that food. That must have been like heaven. I can't comprehend the contrast. I
it
can't
was.
comprehend that.
How did your dad negotiate a flight from Germany to Watertown, New York? How did that come about? How did he make that happen? There were how many of you? Your mom, you, your dad? Now, did you have any
And
siblings?
my brother and sister, five
Oh
of
wow,
us.
wow. So how do you make that happen for y'all?
Good question. We were blessed, and my dad, I mean, he was always trying to figure out how in the world am I going to get out of this? You want a better life. So there was the World Church Organization, WCO. And I still have a button that we then, after a while, we had to wear on our jackets, whatever we had, so that we stuck together as a group once we were um, ready to embark on our journey. But through a World Church Organization, and my dad had to pay back from what he was earning on the farm
Okay.
the cost of bringing us across.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it was everything, organizational structure, the support of an organization like that, and there were people we had to pass physical exams,
Right.
and
That's why I'm asking you. They're not just going to let you come over here. So that all those things, you have to be healthy. They're not just going to stick you on a plane and say off you go. I mean, that's why I'm asking you these questions.
yeah. Example, one of our friends from a neighboring town, we were all families. I've got pictures from back then, black and white ones, of course. But one of our neighbors tried it also, and they had a daughter. She had a mental problem, and they did not accept the family
Oh
because
wow.
of the daughter's ability.
Jeez.
Right. So they definitely were checking for health situations. They wanted healthy people. They knew what they were getting, if you will.
Right. And what year was this again? Can you redefine the year again? This was what year?
1956 when we finally made it. October 9th, we landed at New York Airport.
That's when I was born. Okay, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And they even had a probably from the immigration department, they had somebody drive to our little town of 500-600 people and ask the neighbors in the neighborhood, talk to people about my dad,
What
about
type
us.
of person was he and that type of thing? Were they like screening him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure they were concerned about not having Nazi soldiers and going in undercover.
Exactly.
Yeah, like nowadays, you got all these horrible people coming across. We don't know what they are.
Yeah.
There's good people, so many. God bless America for taking in legal citizens, and,
Right.
we got a big gate, and
Right.
people come through the legal way. A country has to know when they have their sovereignty who, what, where, and why about the people.
Wow.
And you can't let in murderers and gangs and people that are dying or contagious diseases. Like back then, they were careful. Like nowadays, well, that's a whole different subject.
Sure.
But that's
Do you remember? when you were Al, when you were in the East Germany side, do you remember if they had cameras? Do you remember seeing cameras at all then? Now this is 56. You said it was different when you were over there for the little bit of time you were over there. Did they have cameras?
Cameras?
Yes. Does that ring a bell or not?
Surveillance.
No, I don't remember that, but
Type of surveillance, just to check
what
on.
we were such a small community,
Okay.
perhaps in the bigger cities like
Right.
Leipzig, you know, um, they would have that. But I remember, and my ma would take us before or when the war broke out. Um, they what the men did. We were on a hillside, and they would dig like little, almost like little caves into the hillside, and build out. And I saw that when I was visiting, and I took pictures, etc. But inside I couldn't go, and they would build it out where when the sirens would go off, that the women would take us kids
For
and
shelter.
and for shelter to block us from being killed by the Allied planes flying over and just
Mhm.
shooting. Um,
Right.
like you might have heard the word carpet bombing or
Yes.
uh, terminology like that, and that was real. And so there were no men around, just the women, but they dug into the hillside and the holes, the little platforms, steps, and where people with their kids, they would lay the kids inside of on those wood hold out areas, and to save the kids and themselves from the shooting and things that was taking place.
That
And
is incredible. It's, my father-in-law shared a story. He's Greek. He was born in a little place over in Greece, but this was during the war, Sikia, and he actually had a German officer put a Luger to his head. This was during the war, and he wanted to know where the men were in their village because they were hiding.
yeah,
He wanted them to tell him, and he didn't.
right.
But I mean, it's just some wild stuff. Some of these stories you hear, and I can only imagine what that had to be like. I mean, 4.5. I mean, your childhood somewhat was, you were deprived of a normal childhood till you got over here. Were you 4.5 when you arrived in the United States, or 5, or?
No, when we lived in West Germany then, um, and I mean we didn't have much food or anything. Anyways, we would pick green things out in the roadsides and outside the village. And to this day, I see things here, and even I test them. I taste them, but it doesn't taste good. But when you have nothing in your stomach, you
Right.
eat it.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I mean, we were in such physical bad shape.
Right.
And uh, well, when they examined us, and we had worms in us. I mean, even in our
Really.
stool movements as kids, because we were
Right.
eating junk,
Right.
green stuff, whatever.
Wow.
And during the wartime, and I was told that when food was so bad, limited, that people would take sawdust and mix it with mud, and if they'd have a piece of bread, put it in between
My.
to feed the kids and that. Um, yeah, it was horrific, the conditions that we were under, but and thank God my mom was a tough trooper. She had a lion's heart and strength of a lion. And when she found out my dad was alive, because we didn't know if any of us were alive, um, she went back and forth 4 times to cross the border. She got locked up the last time.
I was going to ask, how was she able to get back and forth, Al? I mean,
Well, the first time I remember when I I can see it, because impact traumatic like this, I was told over the years, you remember that for life. And and as a family, we talked about it too. So keep our memory going. And I was a little tot, skinny runt. I was put on when November was cold out already when we were fleeing, and we at one point we stood at the guards. They were standing there, the soldiers, and my ma had whatever she could carry, and with us 3 kids in tow, and I had a white little somehow wherever she got it from a rabbit fur coat to keep me warm, and she had like a knapsack. We call them rucksack, and today they call them backpack. That's in translation, really. Rucksack meaning backpack, German. and somewhere along the line, she went and she hid in there. Somehow she got some homemade schnapps or something to celebrate with her husband. You know?
My goodness.
Yeah, and she got through with that when they said, "Yeah, if you got anything, this and that." My mom would just say, "Nein, ich habe nichts." No, I have nothing. You know.
I have nothing.
Yeah, she had firm in her words. She was not coward, weak, strong person. And
Right.
even when you have nothing, you go back for whatever you have, because she couldn't carry anything for. Am I still there?
No, you're here. We're just
Okay.
listening to you. Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
you're very compelling to listen to, my friend. You know, people are listening. There's some other people on my end. They're not joining us, but they're listening.
yeah,
They're
thank you.
enjoying your story. I got to ask you a quick
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
What did you ever go back? I mean, have you gone back to where you were? Did you and your siblings, did you fly back and say, "Hey, we want to go back to this"? You know,
I did with my sister. Yes,
nice.
right before she died.
That
On
had
a,
to be difficult, I'm sure, emotionally and
emotionally and trying to see places where she told me, oh, that's there was a pond there. Now it wasn't there anymore, but right there was the pond where Herbert almost drowned, and she would tell me the story of our brother almost drowning, and somebody came along, helped him out of there as a little tot when he was small. And yeah, stories, food, uh, it's unbelievable. She went back and forth, my ma, 4 times.
gosh, that's
Got
incredible. So
yeah,
when you
she
got
did.
caught, would they lock her up then, Al? Did they?
The last time she went, and she was at a train station, and they
Oh,
got her inside. They were interrogating her, and only by the grace of God. And I tell you, God had to be with us. And if you're not a believer of God, it'll make you a believer the way things, in life take place. And she was being interrogated. There were 2 doors,
my goodness.
and like I remember on TV, they all go, you want a prize, A or B, which door you want, back when in the days.
Oh
But
my God. Tom, you listen to
so
this. This is
they
incredible.
pointed, go out that way, and that was the way to freedom.
Okay.
The other door would have been the train was waiting to go to Siberia with many people.
Oh my God. And I got to ask you this. Did you see people go on that train to Siberia when you were a kid, or did your mom?
My mom did. She was by herself because she left. That
could have happened to your mom. That could have actually.
It could have.
I should change this banner. I should change this banner to the God's Great Escape story.
Yeah. I mean, what you're sharing is totally incredible. And so, when you got over here in the 50s as a kid, now let's say you're 5 or whatever, or you're living in Tom's neck of the woods here. How did you learn the language? How did you assimilate? Because you probably couldn't speak English, right? Am I correct?
You are correct. Nothing whatsoever.
For sure, your parents couldn't, or maybe
none of us could, and we didn't have any money on us.
Perfect English. It's impeccable, man. You speak perfect English. So how did you learn?
Well, I'm still learning, but thank you. I appreciate that. I tell you what, Mr. Adams was our sponsor, and he was a widower, and he had such grace in him and also a need.
Right.
Yet he lived on a farm. He did not have workers, so he volunteered. He sponsored 3 families, and we
That's
were the 3rd family to come work on the farm. And so, and even when after we were done eating that meal at Luscious, then they walked us across the little road, the area, the yard, and that to a little old house. And when they opened the door to go in, there was table, there were chairs, and they showed us the bedroom with beds in them.
right.
It,
What he's
just
talking about, Tom, and I just want to insert this. My father-in-law had to have a sponsor, and that's how he wound up in Alabama. You go from Greece to Alabama, and then you're living there in the 60s. You know what the 60s in this country was like with civil rights and all that, and you're living in Alabama, and now you're from another country. Very different, very unique. And I didn't mean to interrupt you, Al, but yeah, he's often talked about sponsors, and he learned English the same way you're telling me. He was determined to learn.
Amen. My dad said when we got to America, he got us together. He said, "We are in America now.
Yep,
This is your new home. You speak German in the house, in the home we have, and outside you learn English. You become American."
that's wild. Yeah,
And I wish people would do that nowadays when they come legally and
sure.
assimilate and make that their home and learn the rules and the laws of the land.
So you got here, assimilated, started attending school, right? American
Right.
school.
Yep.
And then talk a little bit about your growth through school into your professional life, your working life, and where you are today.
Thank you. I was fortunate enough to go to a farmer school, country school, to first learn the language and with picture books, the picture along with a word printed underneath.
Okay.
And the ABCs. I was 13 when I came to America. So here I am, a teenager. Disadvantaged people call themselves nowadays. Yeah, right. They don't know how fortunate they have to have the schooling ability to do. And so I was blessed. I had a woman teacher. She sat with me on these little kindergarten chairs, went through those pages, taught me the ABCs. And we had arguments about that because I would say, no, this is the way it is in Germany. This is the way that should be. And some of the words are the same depending on the structure of the sentence. And she said, "You're not in Germany now, you're in America now. This is America."
I bet you when she made you diagram a sentence, that was kind of wild, you know. And I'll bet you for the first time when you saw the word knife, Knife, when they said knife, you probably looked at that and said, that has a K in front of it. Why is it knife? Well,
Yeah.
the K is silent. English is tricky. It's a weird language.
So just like the word hot dog. Where
Yeah.
is the dog? Where's
Yeah.
the hot dog? That's
There
a
you go,
word.
Tom. See, this is your neck of the woods, and you know they should just call them bratwursts, and then everybody would understand, right?
Exactly. So it was just quite a journey. And from the farmer school, like I said, they gave me a diploma
Was
for
that a
after.
one-room schoolhouse, Al? Was that one
That,
room?
that's right.
Oh my
Yeah, we had the tin can out in the entryway full of water for us to get a drinking water. We had an outhouse to go to. And we didn't have, we had one merry-go-round, and everything else we just played our own tag games and whatever. And we ate our sandwiches, whatever we could bring. That's the
my.
beginning. But it was America. We had food and we were warm. We walked to school a mile, a couple of miles, whatever it was. Dead of winter, we didn't care. I was the only one out of our family going to school. My brother was too old, and
Uh-huh.
my sister at that time, at that age, she was old also, even old for high school, and was too embarrassed to go to school. But
So
at 13,
she didn't stay as long as you did. Is that what happened? Did she drop out or?
well, she never started school. She got a job right away as a housemaid at a
Okay.
canning factory owner in Kleiman outside of Lowell. And somehow somebody got her a job
Wow.
and as a maid in a house. And
So she
she
kind of
never
had
went.
two jobs then, working in a cannery and a maid. Is that what you just said?
No,
You're,
I'm sorry. The owner of the
oh,
canning factory found
okay.
out, yeah, and he needed a maid
Oh,
for his,
nice, nice.
yeah. So people were helping each other get jobs and that whenever. And I helped on the farm. It was like a family job. And once we moved to Mayville, I went to high school. After 4 years of high school, I got my diploma for that. So 6 years in America, I got my 8th grade and my high school diploma.
Look at that, Tom. You listening to this? He went to a
That's what
one-room schoolhouse, and you know that the I grew up in Pennsylvania, and it's still there. The Amish people have a one-room schoolhouse, just like you went to, and that's how they teach kids. Now,
Yep.
some of them don't all graduate; they go maybe through 10th grade or whatever. But I'll tell you what, you want to see some shrewd people handle money and create business deals. They're no stranger to making a dollar, and I say that respectfully because it's survival. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get a high school
God,
And,
what?
certificate.
yep. And then
Graduate.
I went to, like I said earlier, I went to 2 year school down here, MIT. At that time was called Milwaukee Institute of Technology. It's MATC now. Became a commercial artist back then, graphic
Did you
artist.
really? Wow, that is
I
neat.
graduated in 2 years, and Uncle Sam came calling, and that was
Uncle
Vietnam.
Sam.
I'm
That's
sorry.
funny. You said Uncle Sam kept calling.
Yeah, he came calling. Was still
Yeah,
draft.
They
he
did. The thing is, the difference was they didn't come with a gun and take you away, right?
No, not like they did my dad. Nope.
no, but they
My number
probably
was up, so I had to either
your
go in
friends
or
and neighbors.
volunteer.
Hey, Al, I've seen
Yo,
some of those. My dad shared me his draft notice. Your friends and neighbors have requested the presence, and he said, I didn't know I had that many friends and neighbors, when he got drafted. It's funny how they word stuff. I'm like, he goes, well,
yeah,
you got to be
right.
kidding me. Friends and neighbors.
Yeah,
And this
I,
was during the war. He didn't have a choice.
yep, yep. And I wound up volunteering. I didn't want to be a cook
Good for
or a
you.
truck driver or MP. So I volunteered for 3 years and served a year and a half over in the Pacific Theater during
Oh,
the
nice.
Vietnam
What were you? What were you? What branch?
Army.
Okay. And what was your MOS?
Well, they actually did the right thing. Usually it's the Army, it's not the right way, it's the Army way. They just put you wherever. And they actually took into consideration, like I say, God is good. He was in this whole picture of a family. And
Oh,
like he
nice.
is in all of our lives if we give him a chance to be that way. And I wound up being, because of my commercial
Artist
art
background.
background, medium background. They put me to 6 months of schooling while I was after basic training. I learned how to kill people and hand-to-hand combat, etc., for Vietnam time. And so after
Wow.
that, they apparently looked at my MOS and they wanted to take me to a school at Fort Belvoir in
Okay.
Virginia,
Right.
a management school where I learned how to make aerial maps, photography from aerial maps.
From the air, like flying
Yeah,
a plane over. Okay.
right. They taught because of Vietnam time, so the lay of the land. And so from the planes, we had back then to learn how
Wow.
to do that. 3D and everything, how high or et cetera, the buildings and everything. And then from there, I learned how to. They applied again what I learned at school because I didn't know anything about art until I went to school. But I did win first place at the county fair in Beaver Dam for my artwork back then. So
Awesome.
I enjoyed that. But so we I worked in the psychological warfare department.
Gee,
The attachment to a 7 psychological warfare unit. We made designed leaflets and interrogated our headquarters. My orders read Vietnam when I got them, and I came to Oakland to get all my gear, my weapons, etc., etc. And they told me that my headquarters will be attached to the psychological warfare unit and making leaflets, and leaflets that were then designed back then to drop from 30,000 feet, whatever,
sure.
out of the C-130 planes that over Burma, over Cambodia, over Vietnam, North Vietnam, that
Right.
whole area, and was the size of a dollar bill roughly. And I remember making a leaflet, designing one angle line, half of it, a thriving rice paddy with thriving plants, shoots, and with the water in between the furrows, and also then the swimming fish in there. And on the other half of the leaflet, small illustrations, of course, I would have a dried up shoots of the rice plants, a dried up uh, rice bed, no water in it, no fish, just
Right.
skeletons. And we would drop them different leaflets like that over those countries, more or less. Okay, you make a choice. What do you want? You want this or that? You want more freedom? You want to have food, or you want to starve? And anytime a soldier would pick those up, and I even met a soldier here talking about it once when I was talking to another veteran, and and if the soldiers when they come out of the bush or in the bush, instead of hiding behind the bush and shooting at the GIs and killing each other, uh, that leaflet, they would raise their hand with that leaflet waving in their hand and their arm stretched high, and then our soldiers would take him in, interrogate him. And this veteran I met, he says, yeah, he said, we called that the Freedom Pass.
Oh
So
my.
God used me in helping set people free, if you will,
Okay.
save their lives. The GI and Charlie, we called the Vietnamese Charlie, the
Right.
bad guys.
Now,
And yeah,
what year
so
was that? What year was that, Al?
that was just towards the beginning of the war, 66,
Okay.
67. Spent a year and a half. As a matter of fact, they even had me 6 months in Thailand, Bangkok. I was in civilian clothes because it was still secret that they were our allies at that point.
Yeah.
And I was teaching, and I called him my sergeant, a soldier, Thai soldier, what we were doing, these leaflets, designing, etc., and teaching them. And so um, it was a great time to be able to help people. And when I came out, I stayed in the service another 4 years in the reserve. So a total of 7 years I served. And I, I like I mentioned, my dad was really the why that kept me going all these years.
Nice.
Um, Even to this day. I
Uh,
mean, he was a mighty big why in my life, and I didn't do it for him. For me, I had to do it for him because he wanted a better life for his family, like any parent does.
Sure.
And he was pushing us all the time. All the time. Very disciplined, old fashioned, hard, yeah. But his goal was still love, even though he didn't know how to show it. But he wanted to make sure his family was taken care of. He left anything and everything behind. Even though it was a torn world, torn country, lost everything, he wanted to have a better life. He was a prisoner over here, even when they captured him. They brought him over to America as a POW. And he saw what America had to offer, even back then. That the good treatment that he received from the farmers that in the fields and where he lived during that time as a prisoner. And he saw the opportunity for the future for his kids. And he did it for us.
Yeah.
The sad part is, after all he accomplished, the fronts, the Russian front, being a scout, being an interpreter, seeing full hell on earth. Here he was, and he had at least his dream of little place, having the farm and even raised a little pony and like I say calves and that, and then we would sell them and make money, extra money, and all of that. He also was a hunter. His sponsor gave him a double-barreled shotgun to go hunt with it.
It's nice.
And yeah, I still have that gun to this day.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and he went out by himself hunting just with a pocket knife. He didn't have any supplies, etc., like we have nowadays. But here in the Horicon Marsh area, he wound up, took one shot, and he got 2 deer with it. And right through the neck into the one standing next to the other one. What a shot.
Well, you guys probably ate good that week, right? Or
Yeah, I'll tell you. But you know what? The sad ending to that, he had a phone call. And it was January then from Hartford, where they were curing the pelt and to pick up his deer skin. And his birthday was the 18th of January, his birthday. And his sister was here to celebrate his 70th birthday. And here he went through hell on earth, being a prisoner, fighting in the front. Every spring, his face would break out from the frost, almost like peeling. It just white frost on his whole head because he didn't have proper clothes, whatever, for his face back then. And all the things that he went through, he went to pick up his deer skins in Hartford. That's Highway 60. And a young man came along on January the 10th, and he was in a hurry to get to work. He passed a snowplow who was just dusting off the side of the road. Beautiful sunny afternoon. And I get a phone call. I was doing then at that time my insurance business in Fond du Lac. And my first year up there working as an insurance agent. And I get a phone call and said, Al, you got a phone call. I pick up the phone. Albert, they call me. I said, yeah, I'm sorry, but your dad got killed in a car accident.
Oh, my.
That's a hell of a way to have to die. But he went quick. That impact was no seatbelt. And
Mercy. And is this when you were working then? Well, it wouldn't have been Legal Shield back then, but did that lead up working the insurance? Did that lead you into Legal Shield?
Right. That was my first year being, I was working for just one company. I didn't care the corporate structure, the company I was at. So, and through my brother working at, in Mayville, where my dad was a janitor then, he was bragging on his little brother type of thing, that You know, so
Who, your
thank God.
your older brother was bragging on you, you mean?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
you're doing? Oh, I think it's an incredible ride what you did.
So from there, I jumped into blindfolded into insurance, and up here in the agency, I bought stock into the agency, and 10 years later, he paid me off. Blood is thicker than contract, so um, uh, one of his sons wanted to get into business. So,
Did you catch it?
anyways,
Huh.
so I opened my own agency across the street from his, and all worked out well. And I kept building and growing, and I sold all my different partnerships. I got my securities, investment, stockbroker, you name it. I knew mutual funds before people could even spell mutual funds. I was selling them. And I got my Series 760 for different level state federal licenses, and I was out there helping people and for their future and providing value on that basis. In '98, I was introduced to prepaid legal shield,
Wow.
and it made sense to me because people couldn't afford to pay even back then 150 an hour, whatever it was, for legal
How,
services.
how in 1998, tell me how old you were then. Do you remember?
I was born in '43, so that made me 43. So if we take three off of there, we got six. Oh, 43. Wow.
You were what, 37 or?
I was about 37, 38 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And again, I just kept, I bought a house up here, and my dad inspected the home. He was happy. He saw his sons, excelling, moving onward, more than he could do, but he helped all he could. And so it was family. And then when I retired from all my investment securities, matter of fact, last year I hung up my shingles, if you will, all my licenses. I gave them up, and that was in last year when I was 81, in that summer, and I'm going to be 82, Lord willing, in a few more months. And but I kept my corporation going, and offering legal services to the masses, to business owners, and to families that can't afford to pay nowadays two, three, four, 500, 1,000 an hour, whatever they charge in New York, more than that. And we were the disruptor of the legal industry by offering it totally different paradigm shift, a monthly subscription fee like their auto, home, health insurance, or any other, your TV nowadays, and make it affordable for the masses. And so nowadays I'm still doing that. That's what I kept going, and I key into the
So
business
you're
owner.
you're still working now, am I right? You're still involved at 81, is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
correct. I am at my own schedule, though. I'm not
Right.
out there,
Right. Yeah.
but I'm still keeping going, and I enjoy life. I'm still kicking, as I say, when I go to network luncheons and breakfasts.
It's incredible.
Helping
Incredible.
people, businesses. What business owner can afford to have an attorney on staff for about $2 an hour, if you will, and through a network of attorneys to help any business needs, whether it's employee, offering it to the employees as a benefit, or whether it's for the business, collection letters, contracts, reviews, workers' comp issues, vendor issues, you name it, whatever comes up. We have the solutions with Legal Shield. And God bless Harlan Stonecipher, the founder that passed away some years back. It's it's been a phenomenal financial blessing to many people out there doing Legal Shield as a business. And I just recently added a new person, if you will, to my agency, uh, interested in helping other people and looking at building a family legacy of being able to pass it on down to your spouse, to your children, to your grandchildren. and helping people. It's a win-win for both. I make a little bit money at it, but when you only charge for the family plan on the group only 73 cents a day, and the employee can get their will, their power of attorney documents done, the healthcare, financial, speeding tickets, reviewing contract, buying a primary residence, anything comes up, divorce, whatever bad issues of life happen, to have an attorney available anywhere in America 24/7 when needed. It's such a blessing. And I'm blessed to be able to offer that to the people. And that's why I kept it going on my own pace and helping people, because that's what got me to America, because of other people, the World Church Organization. And my dad's
Yeah.
never dying, can do attitude. And he's been my
Unbelievable.
why. I served up here in Fond du Lac when I was in Fond du Lac for 26 years. I was on the city council. I was on the library board, president council, president this, helping here, helping there, community involved, being in decision-making positions outside of myself, helping other people. And I lost. I ran for even state office, assembly, and the Senate. And
Oh my goodness. Check this out. He had political aspirations, man.
Well, but you know what? People told me, Al, you're ahead of your time by 20 years. Because back then, when I ran for Scott McCullum and Tommy Thompson, way back when, when I ran for the position, I had a pretty good shot at it, and they invited those that they thought would become a shot at being a senator in the campaign, from West Bend up to Fond du Lac and points in between in the district. And when they invite us to a meet and greet your fellow colleagues coming up. And I went to that on a Friday afternoon, and two guys approached me. And they said, can we talk to you a minute? I said, sure. And I was just naive, and I had my beliefs. And they Christian beliefs, and
Sure.
they took me aside with the drinks in their hand, and they said, "We're lobbyists." Exactly.
Man, lobbyists scare me. They're running up and down the aisles with a fistful of hundreds trying to get legislation passed.
Exactly. And you know what? What they did, they said, we represent some clients as lobbyists, and if we need to get this something past the legislature, how would you feel about taking something extra under the table?
Oh my
And,
goodness. He actually asked you that?
yes, sir. Honest to
God,
God.
what do you
A
think of that?
testimonial that's what really goes on. It's still going on today in
Oh,
even
it's
bigger
big.
way.
Yes, big time. And I said,
Turn your
well,
head and open up your palm. That's pretty much what they told you, right?
yeah, yeah. And so I said to them right there, I said, well, let the first one try. It'll be the last one, because I'm going to go public.
Oh God.
And they picked up their drink and they walked away. And so did my my job, my opportunity of being a senator.
Oh my. Yeah.
Because later on, and it hurt when you lose. I'm a competitive person, and again, a can-do attitude like instilled from my dad. And and later on, time, because like say what, how could you have won? But anyways, the good Lord told me all is well, because I did not sell my soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Sad,
Well, you know
but
what, Al? I tell you what, 45 minutes to an hour goes in a hurry, right?
You're a great
Yes.
storyteller, Al. I could listen to you all day. It's just fun to hear your stories. I could just see you having a drink in your hand and these two guys whiskey outside or from the area you're at, and then they start talking to you about how they can help you. And then
Yeah.
weed out their lobbyists. I mean, I'd be like trying to run away from them really fast.
I call that collaborative corruption. When I was when I was a union officer, that's why I got out of it. I didn't like the politics, the collaborative corruption that was going on.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a constant, and there's nothing new under the sun. It's just
It's the old game, money talks. So, Al, let me ask you this: since you have been around the block, I do have to ask you this because it really sounds like you developed a servant leadership mindset from your father to help others and put others first. Obviously, your dad did with his family. How do you feel about? Tom may not like this question. How do you feel about term limits for people that are senators, congressmen, whatever? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you get paid $200,000 and then after 20 some odd years you're making millions? I mean, is that right as a public servant? What do you think?
well, it only takes 3 or 4 years before they have millions.
Oh my.
That was the one lady in I was reading.
That answers the question, Tom.
Okay. I try to keep up on some of those things, and I
Sure.
saw that she's been in 4 years or so. She's a multimillionaire. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And people, if people need to get on their knees, get back to God. That's where it starts. That's where it's going to end. He's in control. No matter what these jokers out there, how good or bad they are, they're all into each other's pockets. And that's why it's so hard for Musk to do what he's doing.
This sounds like I'm talking to my dad now. Now he made it to 95, but what you just said, I used to hear that a lot. Particularly about lobbyists and the oldest
Right.
game in the book with money and look the other way. And yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah. And that's why they told me back then, Al, you're 20 years too early, ahead of your time. But I didn't give up. I did things the right way, whether it was in business or in public life that I served in the Army. I always kept God first.
Right. Well, thank you for your service, Al. I appreciate you doing that. You didn't, appreciate you serving your country. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you see us, Al? We lost you, but we had your voice the entire time.
But
So
we could hear you. So this was worth even listening to, because you're a great storyteller. I mean, I can see you doing very well at Legal Shield. Talking to people about their future and why they need to take a look at what you offer, your particular platform.
yeah, his website's scrolling across the bottom here. So
Yep.
I even tell people, no, this is not for you. If you're just coming to me for an accident or a speeding ticket and then you want to drop it, no, this is a lifestyle.
Right. Maybe they ought to go see your lobbyist friends if they want.
Hey, there you go, for real,
Or a judge. I don't know.
Over the years, I had many good. They call them the good weather friends.
Yeah, fair weather friends, good weather.
Fair weather friends. There you go.
Yes.
Exactly. And once you're away from the politics and you're doing things the way you're always taught originally, the right way, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to do business necessarily that way. Their hands are up. That's too much in politics. And but I'm glad I didn't sell my soul to the devil. I have my peace.
Thank you, Al. Well, Tom,
wonderful. It was great having you on today.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You were a great guest.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything we can help you with, we'll make sure you get your website out there to people and have people reach out to you. We'd love to have you come back again at some point.
Oh yeah, I would definitely love to hear some more tales.
Well, if you want to help me, also, I've been holding back. People want me to write a book or movie, whatever, but I need help in that area.
Okay.
You know,
Kathy's good at writing books. Maybe she.
people that would have a feel, though, not just
Right.
the opportunity of money, just have a heart for it,
No,
a passion.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
You
should
know,
put your story down on paper. Absolutely.
yeah. So, but God is good. I'm still kicking, and people move out of the way because when I'm at the network luncheons or breakfast, whatever it is, they move back because they know when I say, and I'm still kicking, I actually kick above their heads while they're sitting. We
Hey,
have fun.
when you go to those breakfast lunches, Al, do you tell them like, "Hey, look, I'm going to get as much as I can get because you got to understand my story. You know, I was deprived out of meals, so I'm making up for lost time."
There you go.
Right.
Actually, I have some people say, something, the way you eat your meal, it's like a work of art. I mean, everything is organized and well. And I said, when you're hungry, when you don't have those foods that you should have had when you're young, you remember those days. You don't leave anything on the
On the
plate.
plate. Oh yes. This sounds all too familiar, doesn't it, Tom?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Clean your plate. If you take it, you got to eat it. You know, that's the
That's right. And at times when I helped at churches here, been involved in presidents and different positions and that. But kids would come up with a half a plate full. Oh, I want some more of this. I want some dessert. I said, you come back and here's your dessert. I'll save it for you when you got your clean plate.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. I had a pastor over there one time, and God bless him and his wife and their son, and they were visiting, and the kids were eating one time. We were at another, and and the kid had half his food on his plate. I turned around. That's what you wanted. You have to finish it, all of it. The dad looked at me. I just smiled, and the dad had to finish his too.
He's probably afraid to go up there like, man, that dude's serious. I better finish it.
So,
Well,
Incredible story, Al. I just want to let you know, incredible story. I can see why you've had success in life, that having the lack and then
yeah,
having exposed to abundance coming to the United States, seeing lots of food and for your nourishment, and the contrast
yes.
is something that most people don't have in their lives. So be grateful.
amen. Yeah, and many a times I said, people, not just kids, Americans do not appreciate the value of what they have. They don't appreciate or respect.
Well, with that all said, that's a great point to
And on, yeah.
end on here. So, Al, I'm going to ask you to do something.
Yes, sir.
Go down to the bottom. You'll see the mic stop cam. Click on the stop cam and click it back on again. See if it bring you back.
And there's a stop cam. Yeah. Next, in between mic and settings, there's a stop cam.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I got to plug it in again.
Ah, maybe that's what happened. And then click that.
My battery's running low on the laptop.
Ah,
Okay.
that could be it.
Well, let's do this.
I'm in.
Okay.
Now let me see.
And do you see the stop cam button? Let's see.
I can
Yeah,
put
it's still
just a
frozen.
minute. I had to put in my password again. Okay,
Hey, he's back. Hey, he's back.
Here he is. All right.
He appeared out of nowhere, but we enjoyed your stories, Al. They were really great. I mean,
Sorry
I
about
appreciate
that.
you sharing with us. And have you and Tom met face to face? I'm assuming.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Different times.
I knew he had a story, but I didn't realize how in depth it was.
And this
So,
is awesome. I mean, I need to bring you, transport you to my Peachtree Corners Business Association. We have like a coffee at the beginning of the month, on a Tuesday, like it's the
Uh-huh.
second full Tuesday. They would, they would really enjoy your story.
Yeah.
But I'll have to pass this along to some other people as well. So all you guys that were listening out there, please tag and share this story. It's well worth it.
Absolutely.
I- Do you want me to click on, what did
Oh.
you say before?
You're good.
No,
You're
you're
good.
perfect.
Don't click
You
on
are
anything.
You don't have to touch anything. You're golden.
Okay.
Well, let's do
Well,
this.
I'm sorry I messed you up on that.
Oh, it's fine.
Well, last thing
I-
I'd like to do is just, do a little commercial for one of our causes, Q Up Fundraising. And this is really a mission that I'm out there. I'm looking to help those small, local nonprofits with a fundraising campaign. So if anybody out there that needs a fundraising campaign, don't hesitate to go to my website, qupfundraising.com. Got a survey link in there. You can contact me directly. I can run down our fundraising platform with Q Up Communications and
Right.
show you how to change the economic tide in your nonprofit. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. So that's my commercial. And I thank you. With that all said, join us next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Elevate Your Profits. Mark Gassert and I. We don't know if we're going to have a guest or not, but we'll have a surprise for sure. That's it.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
All
We
right.
are logging out. Everybody have a great evening. Stay warm, be safe, and God bless. Thanks, Al.
Thank you. Al.
Thank you. God bless you for
All right. Thank
sharing it with your people.
You got it. Absolutely.